I'm Kevin Rinke, and I'd like to welcome you to Beyond the Echo. I ran for governor in Michigan. After losing that election, my desire to look at issues that are important to the state or the country grew. There is so much static. There are so many opinions. Our news stations have gotten to the point where we don't know what news is anymore. Where do you go to get real facts? This is about real perspective for you. Beyond the Echo will cut through all the smoke, all the opinions. It's not about Republicans. It's not about Democrats. It's about the issues and what are real. Hey, welcome to Beyond the Echo. Today, we're going to do like a real fast overview of all of Donald J. Trump's cabinet picks. And I'm going to give you the caveat by saying I don't know all of Donald J. Trump's cabinet picks. So when I don't know, I'm just going to say, we will see.
Is that Tim Taylor? Is that the tool man? That noise?
Tool Time Tim.
Yeah, the tool.
Of course.
Okay.
I mean,
That's pretty good.
like Tim Taylor.
I love Tim Allen. Yeah, he's a Michigan
absolutely.
man.
A Michigan guy, by the way, Tim Allen.
Absolutely.
Tool Time Tim. All right.
All right, so Trump's been busy
Yes.
already. He's appointing. And so I'd like you to give your opinion and then whether or not you think they're going to make it through the congressional hearings.
Okay.
So
Who are
first
we
one,
going to start with?
Secretary of State, Marco Rubio.
Great choice. And here's why. Marco Rubio understands, I think, of all of the politicians at Washington, D.C., Donald Trump as good or better than anyone. Marco Rubio is strong on Israel. Donald Trump is strong on Israel. I happen to believe that that's critical. Marco Rubio understands what it's like to come to America and how to fit into America in the role that America represented to him and his family, as well as what America represents to other people. And that's a different role than what Joe Biden and Barack Obama saw for our country. I think that these two guys are on the same page. And of all of the appointments, I think Marco Rubio is one of the most exciting. I'm really anxious to see what he does.
You think he'll get through?
Absolutely.
Okay. Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent.
Yeah. Scott Bessent is an interesting guy. I'm just learning about him. Here's what I like about Scott Bessent. If you look at his history and you compare him to the other people that were options, I think he understands better tariff, tax, and revenue is a package than the others that I saw. And he's got a really tough role because here's what I think under Trump. I think the stock market is going to go up. I think that there's a lot of enthusiasm. I think home mortgages are going to go up, and that's a byproduct of debt, the cost of debt. If we can apply appropriate tariffs and keep the economy booming, we will get the best of both worlds. And I think that his approach, his view of how to do that is unique. It'll be very, very interesting to see. He's got a tough job. I think he'll be approved. He is really well respected in the financial world. Good choice.
Okay, this one has come with some controversy.
Yeah.
The left has really tried to minimize his experience because he's a Fox News host. That is the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth.
Yeah, I like the fact that Trump went outside the borders, per se, for a sec defense. Let's talk about Pete Hegseth, and let's leave Fox News out.
Right.
He was a 20-year member of our armed forces. I believe that he had 3 tours of duty.
Yes, 3 tours.
He was, if I'm not mistaken, a major
Yep, that's correct. I believe that's
And
correct.
and so not only did this guy sign up, not only did this guy serve our country, but he was promoted through the ranks based on his actions and his ability to apply directives from other leaders. Oh, let's throw in the fact that Pete went to Harvard and to Princeton, and he would be a successful guy all on his own as a publisher of the books that he has written without being on Fox News. So I think that Pete's a good choice. I think that he scares a lot of people because Pete Hegseth isn't woke. And I think that the left is trying to turn when Pete Hegseth has said he doesn't believe women should be in combat. And
He didn't say they should be in the military, just not in combat.
well, it's interesting because here's my view on it. And I don't know Pete Hegseth, but I'm going to tell you. I think Pete Hegseth, when he says in combat, is more along the lines of should women be in a foxhole with an M16 shooting? That's my belief. And out of respect to women, maybe it's just because I'm mano a mano. But I don't know that I want a woman next to me shooting. I want to protect women, and that doesn't mean they need to be protected. It's out of respect. Maybe it's a role that I grew up with. So please, ladies, no disregard. We have wonderful women in the military. We have very talented women in the Air Force that fly helicopters, that fly jets, that fly support planes. We have incredibly capable women in the Navy. Me, and it's just me, when Pete said that he didn't want women in combat, I think he was talking about um, on the ground, building to building. And as cool a TV series as The Lioness is, it ain't real. It's Hollywood. Let's not forget about it. And that's what I think Pete meant.
Will he get through?
I think he is going to have a very difficult time. I believe that Pete Hegseth needs to dispel the accusations, the sexual accusations that were brought up against him. I think they're going to spend a lot of time on that. And if he can disprove those, he should be approved without a doubt. He is capable of doing the job.
And by the way, he is a major. His rank is major, so that was correct. And if people are interested in watching the full clip of what he said about women in combat, I happen to agree, and almost verbatim what you said is not their capability, but the other problems that you brought up. So they should watch the whole clip. There's been a lot of people pulling it out of context.
Yeah, there's no need to pull it out of context. Pete Hegseth is a patriot. Pete Hegseth is a proven warrior for our country. Pete Hegseth understands. He's a really smart guy. Again, I think his primary issue isn't that he's a Fox News host. It's the sexual accusations. And you know what? There's an answer. I hope that he is transparent and clear.
Okay, so this one actually is now the second choice.
Yeah.
Attorney General
Yeah.
Pam Bondi.
Yeah. I got to be honest. I'm not a Matt Gaetz fan. I think Matt Gaetz is a bomb thrower. Okay.
Pot stirrer. A pot stirrer.
Oh, he stirs the pot. There's no question. That said, I believe that there's a role for Matt Gaetz. I don't think Matt Gaetz was ever going to be approved. And I got to tell you, I love Pam Bondi. I think she is a brilliant, brilliant attorney general selection. She gets it, and
She's got a great experience.
great experience. I actually think that Pam Bondi is one of his best choices.
You
Yep.
think she'll get through?
Absolutely.
All right. I know you met this gentleman. No, I think you may know him. Secretary of the Interior, Doug Bergman.
Yeah, Doug Bergman. Doug Bergman is the smartest man in the room whenever he's in the room. And Doug is very direct. Doug understands the value of our natural resources. I think he's going to do a great job. I think he will be confirmed without
Much resistance.
any resistance whatsoever. And I'm excited for what Doug Bergman brings to the table.
Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins.
I don't know much about Brooke Rollins. I'm just learning right now, so I don't have an answer.
No, no. Okay. Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick.
Howard Lutnick is an interesting guy. Howard Lutnick is a very capable man. Howard Lutnick will be approved and will do a great job.
Secretary of Labor, Lori Chavez DeRemer.
Just learning about her, and I can't render an opinion. I think that it's interesting when we start talking about Trump's appointments. They are diverse, both men, women, ethnicity.
Minorities.
I'm sorry,
Minorities.
minorities. It is a broad swath and representative of America. And what I do like about everyone we've mentioned so far is the level of experience that they bring to the game. I think they are credible.
This is one of my favorites for a couple of reasons, but I won't elaborate. I'll let you. He's gotten criticism on both sides of the aisle. Secretary of Health and Human Services, RFK Jr.
Yeah, RFK is going to be very, very interesting. And I don't agree with everything Bobby Kennedy says, or Robert. I call him Bobby. Um, I think that the concept of making America healthy again is critical. We spend more money on medicines and on pharmaceuticals than any other country in the world, and we have one of the least healthy populations. We poison ourselves, we punish ourselves, and we need to get it under control. I think many of the diseases that exist in our country today are byproducts of decisions that have been made at the FDA, and that we're suffering from those. And so I hope that Bobby aggressively pursues real things and gets real regulatory reform in place. And I hope some of his crazy ass theories he leaves alone. But we can talk about crazy ass Bobby Kennedy theories at a later date.
Yes,
I
yes.
do want to look like Bobby Kennedy when I'm his age, though, because that guy's ripped.
He's ripped.
Yeah, he's ripped.
Yeah. And also, America does have one of the lowest life expectancy rates amongst developed countries in the
Yeah.
world. So there's something to that.
Yep.
Secretary of HUD, Scott Turner.
Scott Turner's great. I liked.
Oh, did you answer if RFK would go through? If you think he'll make it through?
Oh, I think they're going to kick and scream. But the Democratic Party, if they try and squash a Kennedy, they'll be hell to pay.
Right. Okay.
They'll
sorry,
be held
sorry
to pay.
about that.
So I think he gets approved.
Back
Yeah.
to Scott Turner.
Scott Turner, I think, is great. I wish it was Ben Carson again. I hope that Ben Carson has a role in the Trump cabinet. But Scott's going to do great. Scott will be approved. And yeah.
Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy.
Sean Duffy is kind of like comparing a bolt to a watermelon when it comes to Pete Buttigieg. Okay.
Hot take.
And Sean Duffy is going to do great things for Department of Transportation, and good riddance, Pete.
Talk about unqualified. Yeah.
Windbag.
Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright.
Don't know.
Okay. Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon.
I think that she is going to have a real, she'll be approved, by the way. I think that she is going to have to weather the initial storm. You have a whole bunch of people that have very specific ideas about education and how we spend that money, myself included, by the way. So I look past the structure of education when I say I want literacy. That's the price of admission for me. But you've got people that say it's got to be charter schools, that we shouldn't have public schools, that private schools or religious schools should be funded. There's going to be a ton of arrows coming at her. And I'm anxious to see how she processes all of that at the same time that she's winding down the Department of Education.
Secretary of the VA, Doug Collins.
Heard good things about him. The VA is a very inefficient entity. It improved under Donald Trump in his first term. For me, I think with the cost of healthcare and the cost of government, and some people are really going to squirm when I say this, the VA may be a department that should be dramatically reduced, and the care responsibility might be put into local hospitals versus having private VA hospitals, having it a private government entity. But that's from 10,000 feet. I don't think that that's going to happen today, but I think ultimately that if we really care about our troops, the people that have served our country, ease of access and expediency of access should be a consideration as well. And then the efficiency. The VA has done some great things in certain areas that could be incorporated into our current healthcare system.
Another interesting, Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem.
Yeah, huge opportunity for Kristi Noem. She has done a very, very nice job as governor of a small state.
Yeah.
The department that she will be running is like, I don't know how many times bigger than the state that she governed. And so, can Kristi Noem step up? I hope so, because I think she could be a rock star. Can Kristi Noem implement philosophies and policies that benefit America and make our country safer? I hope so. I have really high expectations and really high hopes. I think a good choice and an appropriate choice for a Donald Trump supporter and devotee.
Okay. Now we're going to the cabinet level positions. We just have a few more. Administrator of the EPA, Lee Zeldin.
Lee Zeldin's brilliant. Um, Lee Zeldin is going to really anger a lot of people on the far left. And the concept of the Environmental Protection Agency is great. The application of the Environmental Protection Agency borders on ludicrous. And understand that a segment of the left is going to vehemently oppose Lee Zeldin on every or any change he attempts to implement. Very, very interesting
That's their baby.
because we're going to drill, we're going to have oil, we're going to have natural gas, we're going to have nuclear. And it's going to take Lee Zeldin pushing that through when people within that department are going to fight him because there's a lot of
And he's
wackos in
really
the
got 2
EPA.
years to push hard
Yeah.
because midterms come around. Okay, Director of Office of Management and Budget, Russell Vought.
Don't
Voigt.
know a thing about him.
Okay, Ambassador to the United Nations, Elise Stefanik.
I loved her. I thought that she should have been and could have been a vice presidential candidate. I don't know if Trump vetted her or not. A rising star, she will be approved, and I think she'll do a wonderful job for the United States. Really like her.
One thing that's interesting about these choices, and you alluded to the diversity, but there's also two Democrats that Trump has appointed, or former Democrats, or whatever you want to call them. But the next one is the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. ran for president against Hillary.
Yeah. I I've always been a fan of Tulsi Gabbard as she has expressed herself on television or in op-eds. I've read about her. I do not share the concern that she is a compromised agent. I think it's ludicrous. And quite frankly, I'm tired of all these people that have read too many James Bond books or something. I think Tulsi Gabbard's great. I think she's going to do very, very well. And again, high hopes because I think there's a lot of upside. We haven't seen or heard the last of Tulsi Gabbard, in particular, if she is successful in this role.
I remember in 2016 watching the debates and thinking, if I were to vote for a Democrat, I'd vote for Tulsi Gabbard.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Director of Central Intelligence Agency, John Ratcliffe.
I think he's a rock star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he going to get through?
Yeah. Hands
Okay.
down.
This was a surprising pick by a lot of people, but I think obviously historic, glass ceiling, the whole thing. White House Chief of Staff, first woman, Susie Wiles.
Susie Wiles is a brilliant political operative. She walks into a room and commands that room. She understands both sides of the equation and she understands what results mean. I think Susie Wiles is a great choice. Yeah.
I agree. NSA, Michael Waltz.
Don't know enough about him to comment. NSA, the role of the NSA is going to increase dramatically in the next 30 months. And while I don't know about him, I think we're going to hear a lot about the NSA.
Well, last but not least, this isn't really an official cabinet position, but I got to get your take on the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE,
The Doge
Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. What are your
or
thoughts?
Dogen. Um, I think it's great. Conceptually, I love it. People need to understand that Elon and Vivek have no legislative authority. They are simply advisors. They are a panel that makes recommendations at the end of the day. Anybody who questions their expertise is simply not that smart because both guys are really, really qualified. Elon will approach things differently than Vivek. And I like that. I happen to fall more towards Elon in his evaluation process. From what I know about the two of them, they're going to make some huge recommendations. They're going to have to sell Congress. They're going to have to sell the Senate. They're going to have to sell the President of the United States because the American people will be very receptive and the American people cannot get frustrated because there's going to be huge pushback
Right.
on these two guys. Everything that they say can't be done. And when we talked earlier in one of the other episodes, people said that Tesla would never make money. It makes billions. People said that SpaceX was never going to work because NASA had failed. It makes millions and billions. Elon Musk gets it. And there will be a structural change that he's going to propose, a cultural change that he's going to propose, an accountability change that he is going to propose. And Washington is going to gag on it. They are absolutely going to gag on
The
it.
trouble is a lot of things are going to be brought to light that still won't change. And so it's going to stir up the pot, and yet people are going to have to, like you said, be patient because even though they're bringing some of this inefficiency to light, it may not change.
Well, again, you got to look at the respective departments that they attack. And I'm going to give, for instance, the military a bit of a break. I don't believe for a second that when we pay $125 for a roll of toilet paper, that that's what the government's paying for the roll of toilet paper. I think that that money is a pass through to something that we don't know about.
Legalize money laundering.
Um,
Is that
you
is
know,
that too
I,
much
I
of a stretch?
I think that's too much of a stretch for me. Because it's not money laundering. My point is that that company that provides that paper might provide top secret things, and that's how they budget it. The company says, if we charge 10 for everything instead of a penny for 9 things and $100 for one, because when you charge so much for one, you draw attention to it. And the military spends a lot of money on a lot of things, and I think that there are efficiencies that can be had. But a lot of people don't realize in the military, to put one Navy SEAL into combat requires over 150 support people. Is that efficient or inefficient? Well, if you're that Navy SEAL, he's appreciative of it. And by the way, our Navy SEALs are considered the top warriors in the world. And they save a lot of people's lives because they take more lives when they are cut loose than any other military group. Is that inefficient? We got to be careful, and so Hegseth, who challenges the Pentagon in conjunction with the review from efficiency people as well as quality people, and I consider Elon Musk a quality guy. I consider Vivek Ramaswamy a quality guy. They have the ability to see through and cut where appropriate, but I don't know that it will be as significant as some people's expectations.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that anybody would be against government efficiency, but they're getting attacked on the left for even the idea of it. But it is going to be interesting to see what comes to light, and even with what Elon's done with X
Yeah.
and what or Twitter or whatever, to see the cuts he's made, and that company is now more profitable than ever. So
Wait,
he's
wait a minute. Weren't they going to go out of business?
that's what they said.
Yeah. What did he cut? 80%?
I mean, he said you could run the whole company with 20 employees, and there was thousands of employees.
Yeah.
Um,
I,
so yeah, he
I,
cut
I
everything.
don't feel bad for the people that were sitting around on their butts doing nothing and getting paid for it. I really don't.
All right, well let's wrap this up by saying Trump has admitted that he wasn't 100% sure what to do the first time he got elected, and he had to make all these appointments, and he admittedly said he made a lot of bad choices.
Yep.
Seems this time he is a lot more prepared. But let's close it out by you giving your opinions on how he's done uh, with these picks now compared to 2016.
Well, I think that he's way more strategic. And since Donald Trump has been elected, you know what you haven't seen? Donald Trump. And for me, that shows a level of maturity, that shows a level of commitment. Donald Trump has gone to work.
Yeah.
And you know who he's working for? He's working for you, he's working for me. I really like the cabinet selections that he has made that I'm familiar with. And I am certain that there are those that are going to criticize him for a litany of reasons. But one thing that we see, they are diverse, they are experienced, they understand that the American people spoke, and there is a desire for change. And I think that's really powerful. I'm excited for Trump, um, but it's noticeable to me. You don't see Donald Trump and you don't see J.D. Vance, and they are working 20 hours plus a day for us. They're not off in Hawaii on a vacation because they lost. They're not singing the blues or pointing fingers. You know what? When they have a hiccup, they have a deep bench. Next man up, kind of like our Detroit Lions. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes, sir.
There's going to be injuries, there's going to be fatalities along the way. Donald Trump seems more prepared than ever. And with Susie Wiles managing, one thing that I noticed was the discipline nationally of the Republican Party in its application of voting standards, in its adherence, and the appropriate population of people to locations to ensure the integrity. And Susie's really organized. Susie's really strong. When I say tough, it's a compliment. And I think that she has the ability to go toe to toe with Donald Trump without hurting his feelings, without offending him. And Trump listened in 24 and won the presidency. He didn't listen in 20 and lost the presidency. And so, yeah, I'm excited for him.
Yeah, people close to him say he's really concerned about legacy, and it does seem like he's gotten to work. So it'll be exciting to see what happens.
Well, he has the advantage of something that very few presidents have ever had. He survived an assassination attempt. And I got to believe that that's life changing.
I gotta think so.
And his focus on doing good versus being vindictive, his focus on doing good for America is greater than ever before.
Agree.
And yeah,
So
it's exciting.
bonus question then on that: will he make it to the inauguration? Are they going to try to take him out again? You think?
Well,
I know
there's
it's all speculation, but
yeah, you know what? Scary thought. Scary thought. We need to be on our toes. And Donald Trump poses a threat to those that threaten America. And that includes allies that threaten America. We're going to have to protect that man. Um, and I believe in the Secret Service. It'll be interesting to see who ends up running the Secret Service, because I don't think that the current leadership will be there, nor should they be. Um, I think it'll be interesting to see who runs the FBI, and we're going to end up with a safer America at the end of the day. And the bad guys need to start looking over their shoulder, because it will be coordinated between ICE, between Homeland Security, between the FBI, between all of the different agencies. And it's long overdue. Yeah. So, anyway, thanks for listening to my views on Beyond the Echo. I appreciate Tony asking these questions for me. It's always easier to answer a question than it is just to pontificate. So, I appreciate it. We'll look forward to the next episode. And I'm excited. I believe that our next guest, we've got two really interesting people coming up on Beyond the Echo. One is Curtis Blackwell. And Curtis runs a program in Michigan called Sound Mind and Sound Body, which deals with athletes in education. Going to be fascinating to hear Curtis's views on NIL and on a pathway for some of our kids. And we also have Sam Fawaz. And Sam is a doctor. He is from the Middle Eastern community, and his views on Muslims and on Christian Arabs is going to be fascinating, because Michigan has the largest population in America. And Sam understands the issues. Sam understands the views, and I can't wait to learn from him. So I hope you join us. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you Beyond the Echo. Thanks for tuning in to Beyond the Echo. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe so you never miss an update. We'd love to hear your thoughts. So drop us a comment and share the podcast with your friends. Stay connected and keep the conversation going by following us on social media. Until next time, keep exploring beyond the echo.